but I'm gonna go ahead and do just about maybe 3/4 of a turn. And what this is gonna do is take the edges and just turn them in a little bit and clean up the edge so it's not as fuzzy. It's a little bit more accurate, and we have a little bit more beef going to the panel. Hey, and welcome back to this episode of Paint Society. Today, I'm gonna teach you how I get those beautiful finishes on clear coat. We're gonna be using a black vehicle today to show you that. We got this RDX here with a new tailgate, and when these have the smallest of cracks on the inside, the whole thing gets replaced. So it'll be the top that we'll be painting, as well as the bottom. I'll take you through the process of sealer, base, and clear, so why don't you all come along with me, and let's get this thing all started. Yeah, if you guys were wondering why it needs to get replaced, I mean, there was actually no damage at all to the tailgate itself. The damage was to the bumper cover, but this right here, and if you guys are working in the body shop, this can't be fixed. It's like a composite, it's all one, so it calls for the whole tailgate to get replaced, and the glass comes with it. So yeah, that's definitely interesting when I get hit. But there's no way to do it. It comes with the whole harness, everything, and you just plug it right in. Well, you don't just plug it in, but it takes some time to get done. But we're gonna go ahead and get this thing all wrapped up. And once we get it wrapped up, we're gonna start to go over the sealer, show you guys what the most important coat is on any car. It's gonna be your sealer coat, and that's exactly what we have here. So basically, this is a primer finish that sanded in 400 grit, and when it's sanded in 400 grit, Honda can take these 400 grit. If you try 400 grit on aftermarket, you're gonna catch a lot of problems. It's just gonna eat right into the raw plastic. But Honda, it can handle it. So 400 grit, and it'll give us a nice little wipe off, and then we'll go with the sealer. I mean, I guess you could base over here, but it's the proper way to be seal it, all new car parts, base, and then clear coat. Now, something that's new to the body shop, well, not really new, but a change, is we experienced an outage on our system for over, on our paint booth for over 3 months because the main circuit panel went down. It was the Axiom before, and I guess it became obsolete, and the control panel, you couldn't use it. So basically what happened is we had to do the system override in the back. Thank God it had the switch, if you know, in the back to go and turn it on. No bake, no flash, no nothing. It was just whatever was set at from that point when it died, that's what it was, and it took about 2.5 months to get everything in. So basically, this is the new setup. It's an Engage, and it's set up with the GFS booth. And if anyone here has a GFS booth, the booths are great. What's even better is the customer service, because the customer service, there's a couple guys over there. If you've ever called them before, they're the nicest guys. They walk you through it. I think they're out of Wisconsin, because I had an issue here where nothing worked, but I didn't have lighting in the booth, so I had to kind of hot wire the lighting to hook it up to somewhere, and they tell me everything and how to get it set up. And even for the new setup here, this costs 18 grand, guys, between this and the whole circuit board that's in the back, the main panel in the back. 18 grand. So basically everything's the same. You can have your temperature set at what you want in the booth. If it's cold, you can make it hotter, but you can't, it's not AC. And then all the other normals. You can see here we put tape here because the last one got really messed up. So I mean, these are just the costs of doing business, but when we're in the production shop and we need things to keep on moving, we need some of the better equipment to keep the cars in and out, because we definitely, without heat, we slow down tremendously, especially with those colder months. So we're ready to start wiping this thing down and getting it all ready. All right, we're ready to go. We got our pump sprayers, the Paint Society edition. You get the link in the description, and you can grab one of these. And this is pretty much soapy water, but it's water-based cleaner. And water-based cleaner will remove those fingerprints or anything industrial fallout that might be on the panel, not grease or oil or anything like that. But I like to do this one first. Some guys will do it the other way. You weren't done? Okay, my bad. Anyways. So there's gonna be a lot of black on here, and you could, or you should probably wash it down. You could or you should probably wash it down before, but this way works just as good. So get everything nice and clean. 400 really did a good job here. I've seen primers that are a little bit more, can hold up to 400 a little bit better, like you'll run 400 on it, and it's like you've not even sanded it. If you guys know what I mean, let me know in the comments. All right, so this one is pretty much wrapped up here. And then we're gonna skip over to our plastic cleaner, which is more of a raw plastic cleaner, because we're not using solvent on plastic. So that's what we got here. We're gonna be using a raw plastic cleaner, and that is going to be the anti-static surface cleaner. You could also use these guys over here, which these are the D-wipes. It's the same thing. And so I have that already in this raw cleaner can right here. I should probably put a glove on right now. I should probably have had a glove on to begin with, but you know. Now anyways, this is the towels I use. I actually picked these up at Walmart. They're 15 bucks for about 75. So we'll get our raw cleaner, and the raw cleaner is gonna go ahead and it'll de-static it as well, and it will get off any of the last excess of any sort of contaminants on the surface. I kind of get it on there and then let it sit. And this video is about your best clear coat settings, right? But what are the best clear coat settings, or what do they even matter if you can't even prepare the surface properly? This is why when you watch any video, or this video in particularly, everything I say in the video is just so important, because all steps in painting lead to the end, and what you've done in the previous steps will affect the final outcome. That's very, very true for most things in life, but especially this in painting. If you didn't prepare it properly, even something that's just a brand new part, if you didn't prepare it properly, you're gonna find out. You're gonna find out what happened. All right. All right, for our sealer. The sealer we're using, guys, obviously it's a two-part color build. It gets mixed in with the sealer hardener and then the reducer. And basically, this is a non-sanding primer. So that will go on the surface here, and that will give us a nice surface to paint. You could put base over this, I guess, if you use 400, 600, but this thing has to be roughed up so much in order for you to get a proper cut on it, that honestly, sealer is the proper way to do it, and honestly the best way as well. So when you have new parts like this, we're going to be using the right here, the 3M performance gun. What is it? I think I got a 1.2 on there, or one. God, my eyes are so bad as I'm getting older. My eyes are really getting bad. I think it's a 1.3. I don't know. Anyways, you see how much of a difference it really makes. 1.2, 1.3 or sealer. It's not a big part. It's a part that is on its own, so we don't have to worry about the edge. This is like the best all-around gun. So if you had to choose like your superlatives in high school, like, you know, most spontaneous, best looking. I didn't get best looking. I actually didn't get any superlatives at all, but if you had to choose best all around, this would be the gun. And it can do everything great, but it can't do everything like amazing. That's what I feel about this gun. It can do everything great, but it's not the gun you're gonna want to like do show cars with. So that's just the way I feel. I mean, the fine atomization tips are really, really good. And that's what we're gonna use here. So let's go ahead and knock this down. I'll be in around, I would say, I don't even look at the gauge anymore, probably around 25 PSI. You might think, oh, you don't look at the gauge anymore? How could you not look at the gauge? What is the exact pressure? When you're painting so long and you start to paint so long, you don't even look at the gauge, you just know. You just know. So I'll put the sealer on wet now, because the sealer, if it doesn't go on wet, it's gonna look bumpy. That's the only way to spray sealer. All right, look at that. And me doing all this yapping about cleaning, static gun, tack rag, and I still get dirt. But this is why I changed my camera to the Action 5 from DJI. I was using a GoPro and my iPhone. I'm like, you know what? I cannot pick up the defects. So that's why I changed to something clearer so I can really show you. Look at that. I can really show you. Guys, this is real life painting. I'll show you everything. No problem showing you anything because I don't want you to feel like I can do something that you can't. And that's not the case. Any of you guys can do this. All right, so overall, the rest of it was pretty clean. The scratch was a little bit aggressive because I can see some curly cues. Thank God this is black. It's a little bit aggressive. I gotta talk to Juan about that. But if you got in areas where it's like too aggressive, like what I'm seeing here, it's a little bit aggressive, let it sit, and then you can put another coat on, but you cannot put another coat on until you start to see it flash. So I'm gonna let this flash, and I'm gonna go from there. It's all flashed off. Flashed off is a term in the auto body industry for just basically drying in between coats. So we're gonna see what goes on with this little guy right here. The least aggressive way is to take a tack rag, maybe with just a piece of lint, and go over it. You don't want to sand it if you don't have to be honest. And if you're gonna sand it, I want you to sand the base, don't sand your sealer, because sanding the sealer, it's really not meant to be sanded. This sealer is so good that it went into that aggressive scratch and it smoothed it over pretty well. You see it's still flashing just a little bit over there, so we'll allow that to die up a little bit. And we're gonna be using the same spray gun. Again, like I said, the best all around. You don't need to buy 100 spray guns. This will do it all if you have small projects. Not the fastest, not the biggest fan in the world, but just again, best all around. I already put base on here, and you can see the difference, how it's shiny. And we're using extra slow. Now, why that flashes, there's so many secrets or procedures or things you can do to give yourself a better finish so that when you put the clear coat on, which we'll get to, this is the point of this video, getting to the clear coat is only going to show you how good you spray the sealer and the base coat. And you need to put certain things in the paint to help you get to that point. I mean, being a good painter is not only being a good painter, but knowing what to use. And on black, I'll only use extra slow. I mean, when the temperature is 70 or above, I'll only use extra slow. Because what that does to the paint is it helps it dry smoother, much smoother. It keeps it wetter while it's coming out of the gun. So when it hits the panel, it's wet. It doesn't hit the panel dry. If it hits the panel dry or dried up, then what's gonna happen? It's gonna dry gritty, right? So black sealer, black paint, in all honesty, one coat is covered. So another thing that you wanna try to do is if you're putting 2 or 3 coats on, that's fine. If you start to put in more and more and more than 3 coats, you're gonna sand it down, scuff it down, and then put on a final coat so it's not too gritty. That's like usually on silvers. This right here should be ready to go. Let me show you what it looks like to put down a nice medium wet coat. We don't have to go full wet, medium wet coat. And that's all there is to it. This is a black metallic. And I'll break this thing into sections only because when I go to clear it, if you try to paint this thing like from left to right, it will run on you in these areas right on this body line. I have run this tailgate, not this particular one, but this same model tailgate at least a dozen times. And what happens is the paint will come out here and start to run on the bottom, and then it'll come off this edge and start to run. So look at one coat, guys, it's covered. And I know that something's gonna happen in this video because I already see it happening. I keep forgetting to paint the top. I forgot to clean it. I forgot to base it. I know I'm gonna forget it. Please don't let me forget it. Don't forget to paint the top because I don't see it. I mean, I'm not that tall, you know? So it's these things in painting that kind of just make you laugh sometimes. Let's let that flash, give it 10 minutes. We'll bring it back once it's flashed and we'll pop on one more coat and it'll be fine. It'll be ready to clear. And then we'll talk about those clear coat settings that will help you out. 10 minutes later, you can see the bumper's really looking good. Same thing here at the tailgate. our little dust nibs, you can see just like a halo or where they used to be. I'm gonna use this K600 on these hand pads. Guys, if you don't have these, you're missing out. The hand pad is like an interface pad. It takes the aggressiveness out of pushing down. Like if you were to take just the sandpaper by itself and push down, you will crease this. But this makes it 10 times softer. You can only do this when the base is dry. And that's all we're trying to do, guys. We're not trying to go down. There's another one over here. That's just a part of the game, to be honest. You don't want to sand unless you have to. I'm gonna leave this, because when you start sanding the base, you sometimes get yourself into some issues. I'm gonna just go over this, and that's it. We're gonna leave it alone. We're gonna leave it alone. Black, believe it or not, is very, 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 very forgiving when it comes to like if you have some defect in the base, like a scratch, like a sand scratch or something. It's extremely forgiving. Silver, no. And all you do is go right over it. See, this is completely smooth, and there'll be nothing on here. Nothing at all. Like I said, again, I'm forgetting it. If you've ever forgot something, like I've known of painters, even motivated painters, he made a video once where he was doing some work on a quarter panel, right? And since they don't do all the work, like they just get the car in. He was doing the work here, and then he went to clear it. And as he gets to here, he's clearing right over a primer, right? That would never happen here because we do the repairs all the way through. But has that ever happened to you, where like you just missed something and it's too late? Let me know down in the comments. I would love. They say misery loves company. Misery loves company. Let us know how you messed up before. We're gonna put one more coat on here, let this dry, and then we're ready for clear, and I'll show you those settings. And that's all there is to it. Some of you might ask, well, if you sand it here, here, and here, don't you need 2 coats? This is a polyester base, guys. We barely broke through it. We just went on the top surface, and on black, it covers really good. Oh, I hit about 10 minutes on here, 10, 15 minutes, I'll be ready to clear. All right, so let's talk about those settings. This is a Series 2 from my Iwata WS400. What I love about this gun is even from a large distance, it can atomize so well. It's got a beautiful fan pattern on that, which really helps out with the atomization. First adjustment is your fan. So if we turn the fan all the way to the left, counterclockwise, that would be full fan, okay, wider fan. And first thing you want to do is find out how many turns. So if we have this little dial here, count with me. 1, count with me. 2, count with me. 3, and then let's call it 3.5. So we know that we have 3.5 turns. Now, what I'm going to do is go all the way out, and we adjust this one from wide open to a little bit closed. And by a little bit, it's going to be different, but I'm going to go ahead and do just about maybe 3/4 of a turn. And what this is going to do is take the edges and just turn them in a little bit and clean up the edge so it's not as fuzzy. It's a little bit more accurate, and we have a little bit more beef going to the panel. Your next one is going to be your fluid, and we took off the paint so it doesn't come out. So we're going to hold the trigger down. We're going to back this almost all the way out to the point where it's almost out, and then we're going to turn it in clockwise, okay? And we're going to turn it to the point that it stops. And when it stops, we know this gun is set at wide open. I always recommend not starving your gun, always set it at wide open. What happens when you turn it in? Well, let's do one full turn. You're going to find that your trigger doesn't go in as much. We'll do a little bit, another turn. It's not going to go in as much, to the point where it's almost not even moving. So by doing this, by turning it in, you're starving your gun. Starving it of fluid. This is the fluid control. The more you turn it in, the less fluid's going to the panel. Remember, painting is about the correct air mixture and paint mixture together. How much is air going through? How much is paint going through? So the droplet size is exactly what you need when it hits the panel. It's a little bit of a science, but we can make it super, super simple with these adjustments. So again, all the way out almost, pull the trigger, turn it in. When it stops, right there. If you're concerned you're getting runs, Give yourself a little bit of a safety, go in one turn. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, never do I ever even pull the whole trigger when I'm painting. It's always just a little bit of this trigger control. But you don't want to allow less fluid to come through. That's why I like to keep it wide open, so more fluid generally is coming through. Let's go in and talk about the pressure, and let's talk about the distance to the panel. All right, for me, for pressure, it's always gonna be 26 for this gun. For this particular gun, it's always gonna be 26. And the way you adjust pressure is you hold the trigger halfway, get a little air coming through, and this is what I love about digital, and this is what I love about this gun. 26 for this gun is what I find is perfect pressure. That doesn't mean 26 is gonna be great for every gun, but in or around, I would say guns nowadays operate at lower PSI, in around 24 to 29 PSI, it feels like good for a clear coat. Distance, so this is the panel. I find that if I'm at more of a distance with this gun, it's more safe for me. This is about 6 inches. This gun can atomize, the beef of the fan is right here. Okay, if you guys see that. So when it's hitting the panel right here, which is my hand, it's getting the full panel. If you're too close, if you're spraying this close, it's gonna get, you might as well turn this fan all the way in, okay, because it's gonna spray, that's what you're gonna be getting, all right? That's what's gonna be hitting the panel, because if you're looking at the panel and you're looking at the actual fan, look at the fan here. It's gonna be much beefier right here. There's gonna be so much fluid coming out of this area. You have to allow the air to disperse it properly, okay? So when it disperses properly, you hit around 6 inches with this gun, you could do it every time. Let me show you what that looks like right now. All right, so we're back here after that first coat. And that first coat, I want to show you everything, guys. Everything, or anything I can find. We're after that OE peel. We're after that OE peel, guys. Check it out. Little guy right there. Little one here. If you have little areas, and all painters get it, where there's like a little bit of a dirt nib or something, let it really tack up. Once you let it tack up, what's gonna happen, guys, is that second coat, when it goes on it, it's gonna kind of flow on top of it, flow over it. If you hit up that second coat too soon, it's just gonna melt into the first coat. You want that first coat to kind of tack up a little bit, so that second coat, when it comes, you could lay this on. I don't want a buff black, so we'll do our best not to have to worry about that. We see at the top all done. That's looking pretty good. So let's keep it moving. Let's go ahead and get this bumper all sprayed in. All right, ready for that second coat. If you had any dirt or anything in it, you always want to leave it because the second coat is going to kind of flood over it just a little bit. You don't want to bury anything really because burying stuff gets you into trouble. Just buff it later, to be honest. But again, we're not chasing show car here. We're chasing factory finish that matches the rest of the vehicle. That's all we're looking for, and that's what we're getting here so far. So just watch the paces, watch how I'm not on it, and watch the distance. We're going a touch slower. Not too slow, a touch slower. Everything else is going to be the same. And if I get any comments from you, why is there yellow tape on there? I mention this in all the videos. Because these cups, when you use them, you reuse them, paint builds up on them, especially the bottom. And if it flakes off, it's going to flake no other place than into your paint job. So the tape is there to hold it off. Oh. Oh, the overspray. Overspray. Woo. Try it. Take a look. Show them. Whew. Not bad. What do you think? It's going to be good? No runs? That's all we pray to. We pray for no runs. But what we're going to do is we're going to bake this. We'll come back in the morning. It's around 8 p.m. now. We'll come back in the morning before I go to school. As you guys know, I'm a school teacher, so I'll take all my jobs out in the morning, and then we'll get them assembled, We'll take a look at it though first to see everything held a gloss. Did it hold a gloss, number one? Is there any runs? And then we'll take it out and make sure everything looks good, and we'll move on from there. So those are some simple gun spray methods that you can use to get instant results to make your jobs look this good, hopefully. Let's check it out in the morning.
Well, here back in the morning, we're headed out. It's around 6 in the morning. So we're gonna go ahead to the shop, check out what we got, and see if that clear coat held a good gloss, see if everything's nice and smooth, and see if we'll be ready to pull it out and eventually get this thing reassembled. Let's go ahead and check it out. All right, we're back here at the shop. Let's go ahead and check out what we got going on. All right. All right, we'll turn that light on right there. As a moment of truth, as always. There's always a little bit of anxiousness when you're coming into the booth after you painted something. This is live with you guys. So let's see. The first place I'll look to see if there's any runs are these guys. And see if there's any runs coming down here. And they look pretty good. Everything over the net, it would run over in here. It will come down this edge and run. But I say it held a gloss, terrific gloss. Held a nice shine. It's got a nice OE peel. You can see there, and honestly, it's basically a no buffer. There's nothing on here that I see that that we're gonna need to polish up. Continuous throughout, it's the same consistent peel. So really happy about that. Yeah, we got one guy right in there. Let me check that out. Right in there. So another one right in here, kind of where things kind of fall. So yeah, beautiful gloss, but it's not how nice it looks when you spray it. It's about how nice it looks after. I even forgot about this up here. Always forgetting about this up here. This looks really good too. Let's check the bumper out, see if the bumper's clean. Yeah. So, can you do this with any gun? Yeah. Do I really like the WS400 Series 2? Yeah, it makes things a lot easier. Plus a $1,000 gun. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, you don't need that gun. I tell you that all the time. Only if you really want it. I was the type of do-it-yourselfer that bought that gun because I wanted the coolest gun that I thought would get me the best finish. And it's kind of true, but I really realized quick that a lot of that doesn't really matter. So we're gonna go ahead and get this thing pulled out. I'll take a closer look at it once it's all pulled out. But guys, this is Brian from Paint Society reminding you, don't overthink it. It's just paint. I'll see you guys on the next episode.